Alright guys, to finish up thread control, we're going to put it all together. You need the base, you need the circular thread path, you need more and less tension, and now we're going to show you guys how to properly catch, set, and lock a material in place. I'm Gunnar Bramer with Bramer's Custom Flies. Let's dive in and check it out. Well, catching a material is the only time in fly tying when slack is your friend. In fact, it's the only time you should ever put slack into a fly is when you go to catch and trap a material. Let me show you why. Now I have a clump of bucktail in my hand. I have it cut ridiculously close to my fingers because that's how I tie with bucktail. And if you were to come up and try to catch this with a thread that is under tension, let me turn this so you can see it, your thread will just push the bucktail out of the way and you'll catch almost nothing. You cannot come up with pressure because the thread will push everything up and out of the way. You won't be able to trap anything down. This is reason probably number one why tyers spin their thread. So if I'm going to come up with slack, understand that as I tie, I'm taking a spool and I'm basically coiling it. It's like taking a hose and putting it into a coil and then pulling it back out, and putting it into a coil and pulling it back out. You get a bunch of twists in that stupid hose and it's really irritating every time you got to use it. Well, if you come up with slack thread, the thread is going to have some sort of twist in it, either positive or negative. Now, this is how you can overcome that. You intentionally spin your thread to get the thread to lay up against your fingers. And this is how you look down your bobbin, you spin it counterclockwise. Now as you come up with slack, that twist, that coil in memory, is going to fold that thread up and lean it up against your fingertips so that as you come up with slack, you can get an extremely clean catch on that materials, even though you have complete slack in that thread. Now the opposite is true. If you spin it clockwise and you come up with slack, it's going to fall way the heck up here towards the hook eye. You're not going to be able to control it for crap. It's it's going to be really bad. Now, there's a small issue with this, and it's that most of the time, if you spin a thread counterclockwise, you're going to actually flatten it out. If you tie clockwise, you'll flatten it back out. The problem with a flat thread, and one of the reasons why people spin their thread as they tie, is if you have all of your filaments exposed, it's really easy for one to break, and then another to break, and then the whole thing shears. It's very easy, right? You have strength in numbers. When you spin a thread and you cord it up, now they all have to break simultaneously. You use the thread to its full pulling potential, to its full strength. So when you spin counterclockwise, most of the time you flatten your thread out and it's not beneficial. So what I want to show you is like the cream of the crop, how to catch a material. And I learned this by watching Giovanni De Pace. I hope I said that right, Giovanni, but he's like the most perfect example on the planet of thread control. And you can see it in his videos. He has complete control at all times. It's absolutely unbelievable to watch. Now, if you look at my fingers right now, I'm going to show you what I call the Giovanni Method. Okay, that's what we're going to call it because I don't know what else to call it. I have this bucktail pinched really hard in my fingers. Well, I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to draw it up into my pinched fingers and lock my thread in my fingers. And then it doesn't matter if it has twist going forward or back, counterclockwise or clockwise. It doesn't matter whatsoever because the slack is going to be controlled in my fingers by pinching it right above the material. So check this out. I'm going to come with my bobbin, trace it around my thumb, lock it. Look at this slack, it's so sick. And I can just pull that straight down. I can come up and do it again, pull it straight down, can come up and do it again, pull it straight down. Now this will take some practice to get used to, but every material that you're going to put on a hook, you're going to have it pinched in your fingers. You're going to have a perfect little crevasse to draw your thread up into and just leave it pinched above that material, and then you have 100% control over the slack. Now, this tutorial is not about bucktail at the moment, so I'm just going to manipulate this the way I normally would, and we'll talk about this in a different video. After everything is locked in place, I've distributed this around the hook shank. I'm just going to give that a nice straight hard pull. I'm pulling my thread to its elastic limit for deformation. If I go past that, it'll deform plastically, the diameter will reduce, everything will snap. I can feel that in the mono. I've tied with this mono for many years. I know exactly how hard I can pull before it breaks. Now I'm going to take this, and under tension, I'm always going to have this high pressure tension circle on these materials, And to just illustrate my point, I'm going to get my thread in front of these bucktail butts real quick. I'm going to take that thread still under tension, never backed off, a few wraps forward, 4 or 5, and a few wraps back. If you recall how we built the thread base, I didn't just start my thread and get back to the point. I went all the way back up to the eye and all the way back so that the first layer had tension on top of it so that the first layer could never slip. It's all about controlling that first layer. When you catch this material and you wrap forward, you're still dealing in that first layer. Everything is still linear, and if you pull on the material, it'll all back off and pull out. So you take that thread forward, 4 or 5 wraps, then you Chinese finger trap that sucker with thread over the top. So as you pull now, the bobbin's like, man, I didn't feel none of that. Like, you got nothing on me because you've doubled up the layer and it can't pull out. So all I have is, I don't know, 4 or 5 turns on that material, trap down. I did my little finger trap, and none of this on that base, none of this can pull out of here ever whatsoever. And my base can't slip. The material can't slip. There was never any slack besides in the catching, and then I pulled it all out by controlling the tension of my bobbin, and then I locked it all in place. This is the most sound way to tie anything in, period, for all of time. This is fly tying right here. Not recipes, not anything else, not material select. This right here is fly tying. Now I can trap down that base. Normally I would have tied all of these down so they're nice and clean. And look how low profile and easy that is. And then I come up, I pull out more thread than I need. I let the circumference of my circle and my bucktail eat up my thread. I control the flare. I bring it back down onto my base. I half hitch and I move on with my life and finish the recipe with this super ultra clean, ultra precise, ultra high pressure, complete control over tension throughout the whole process using the Giovanni method to tie in my materials. So that is the culmination of thread control. That is how to trap a material, how to set a thread base, how to control your bobbin tension and tie in a circular thread path. Of everything else, please watch these first 3 videos because they are the foundation to being a good fly tyer. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next part of the series. I think it might just be bucktail. Let's do it.